Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Marley and I are at it again. We're out here filming. I got a lot of different projects going on, and I brought with me the American Air Arms EVOL. This is the standard version. This is the gun that went through the Airgun Survival Challenge. Survived pretty good. You guys will notice in my last video, I took this down, had Tom rebuild it. All it needed was a new shroud, which had a huge dent in it, and he replaced the Foster fill fitting because it had a burr in it that he was afraid was going to cause an issue with filling the gun. It's possible the hose could have popped off, and so I'm glad that he replaced that. So this is my first day actually shooting the gun. I wanted to get it out, get it ready for a hunt that I have planned here in the next couple weeks. So I wanted to get it out, do some shooting with it, get familiar with it again, because it's been a while since I've shot this gun. Now, he tuned this for the JSB Redesigns, which are 25 grains, and he tuned it for right around 42 foot-pounds, 875 to be exact. And I'm going to get a good couple magazines out of this. Seems to be a pretty good shot count. And it's definitely a good power level with the redesigns for pretty much any kind of small game hunting out to 100 yards or so. So I'm going to get this thing sighted in at 65 yards, which is mostly the ranges that I'm probably going to be using around this farm. But I've got the MTC Optics Cobra F1. This is a 416 by 50, and seems to pair really well with my Tacticam. Is one of the reasons I like using it. And the one thing that I will say about the newer generation EVOL is, you know, it does have the monoblock with the Picatinny rail that's got a little bit extra here, so I'm able to move my scope forward, which is definitely nice for your eye relief. And a lot of times I'll actually move the scope a bit further forward to accommodate my Tacticam unit on the scope. And so that's just kind of how I have it set up. I've got the Accutech bipod. Another thing that I've really noticed I like about this gun is it's got a large amount of area that I'm able to mount my bipod. For bench rest shooting, that sort of thing, I usually like having my bipod towards the front. I've noticed that usually causes the gun to be a little bit more stable. You don't have jump like you do sometimes when you move the bipod back. But a lot of times when I've got the extended legs, I will bring the bipod back when I'm out in the field. But it's a neat gun, super quiet, and super ergonomic for carrying around the farm or out in the open terrain like we're at today. So this is really the first time that I've shot the gun since Tom rebuilt it and put that new shroud on. Whether or not it's shooting better, I couldn't really tell you. It shot pretty good even after the torture test. But for 65 yards, I'm definitely impressed with this over 11 shots. that's a really tight group. The 25 grain Redesigns work really well, and I like using them because they're a bit heavier. They seem to handle the wind a little better, and they're an excellent choice for small game hunting. With the 18 grain, I think you're somewhere upwards of around 30 foot-pounds. With the 25 grain, I'm right at around 42 foot-pounds. They're going around 875. So that's a pretty good number for the Redesign. I'm sure they could be pushed faster than that. But you guys see this. I mean, there's no reason to change the tune or anything like that. I just need to make some minor adjustment to my turrets, and I think I'll be spot on. But it definitely was nice to get out here, do a little practice, test the gun, and I think Tom did an exceptionally good job at getting it back together and tuned correctly for the 25 grains. Now that I got the gun sighted in and zeroed for 65 yards, we're going to head across the road. We'll do a little bit of hunting with it. There is an area that I have seen ground squirrels in the past. There might not be that many, but chances are we can probably get at least one. There are a few ground squirrel holes out here in front of us at about 75 yards. I usually sit in the shade like this. I've got my rangefinder, and I use it to kind of scan around, look at the ranges, and it also helps me spot the ground squirrels. So I'm not constantly having to scan with my scope, which sometimes at the higher magnifications can kind of put strain on my eyes. And so I usually always like to use a rangefinder. Binoculars would be good, or even a spotting scope I've used in the past. But this is a pretty good spot. We are pretty covered. We got some shade, and it just makes it a lot more comfortable when you're sitting for a while. Because a lot of times, I'll sit in one spot for 45 minutes, and I may not see a ground squirrel. And then a lot of times, you can sit in one spot and you'll take down, 50 or 100 of them. And so it's kind of hit or miss. This particular area doesn't have a ton of them, but it does have a few fairly large adults. Areas like this where there's lots of debris, you can see the mound of dirt there to the left. They usually like stuff like this. They'll usually use that type of debris to burrow under. And they like junk piles, they like brush piles, they like the base of trees. So I was able to take this guy at 74 yards with a headshot, took him right down, and a lot of times the adults are pretty skittish, especially in areas that have been hunted a lot. Now Terry and I have hit this area in the past. At one time it was very overpopulated, and since that time, I have seen the numbers come back. And so this is one of those stragglers that are really skittish. Ground squirrels have excellent eyesight, and so they can see just about as well as you or I. So a lot of times you're not able to get within 100 yards of their hole before they go down. So I find myself a lot of times in that case just sitting. I usually try to stay in the shade. And a lot of times if you wait long enough, they'll pop their heads out, and it's just enough for you to make a shot. was definitely nice to get out here today and do some shooting with the EVOL. Definitely a great gun, very accurate, got good power in 22 caliber with those redesigns. I'm pretty impressed with how they perform, and I think this gun is going to work out really well for the hunt that I have planned coming up, which I'm going to bring you guys along on. But if you guys have any questions on any of the products that I've used, I'll leave some links in the description so you guys can check it out. Otherwise, if you have any further questions, you can email me through my website at mountainsportairguns.com, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. As usual, I really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you soon.